How we doing? Dante's discussion. This is the Dante's discussion number 4, and today I have the pleasure of joining with us the strong collectors. We have Dakota and we have Jordan. Thank you guys so much for joining. How are we doing?
Good, doing good tonight. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate it. I reached out to these guys about a week, 2 weeks ago, seeing if they were available on a Thursday to talk toys. I started watching these guys about 2 years ago. Strong Collectors, give them a follow on IG and YouTube. Go ahead. If you guys let me know about what you guys do on your channel, what do you guys talk about? Let everybody know.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying you don't have to ask us twice to talk about toys on any night, Alex. So, we're glad, especially on a Thursday.
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. What got you guys into collecting or starting the infamous YouTube channel? How'd you guys get this going?
Yeah, I mean, we started kind of like we got back into collecting and we were looking for podcasts ourselves to listen to, and we found Articulatrix's oral history of Marvel Legends. It's on like Spotify and Apple, and so we would listen to that. And then we had jobs where like I was working at a hotel and then Jordan was doing food delivery stuff. So we would just call each other and talk our entire 8-hour shifts. And we were like, we could probably do a podcast. And Articulatrix was getting a little bit more sparse in his postings. And then we were like, I think we need somebody to fill this gap. And so we started it up. We weren't sure if we were going to do YouTube or just audio. So if you go back and watch our very first episode, it's always funny to call back to because Jordan's sitting in the dark on the floor in his living room. I'm in my roommate's room with all of his like fitness posters and medals behind me. So slowly we kind of got the visuals up to YouTube standards. And yeah, we
how long ago was that?
That was 2021, I think, February. Okay. Maybe 2022. Feels like it's been a long time and feels like it just started. So I think
it was 22, wasn't it?
Could have been.
Nice. So I probably started watching you guys 2023, late 2023. And yeah, what really caught my attention, and you guys still create good content, it's the discussions and how you guys talk about the Marvel Legends and back in the day Toy Biz. So real quick, when I started collecting, well, not even collecting because I was still young, when I was buying toys, I had a buddy of mine who had a bunch of he was a big X-Men fan like me, and he collected the Toy Biz ones, the ones that came with the comic, the nice backdrop or the diorama piece and all that. But they were a little bit out of my budget. When I was growing up, we didn't have, too much money and all that, but I always thought that they were amazing. And I remember him having like a Gambit and a Beast, pretty good Wolverine, but I never really got into the Toy Biz era until I got grown-up money, and then I discovered Marvel Legends. And I was looking for some toy line to have that representation of Marvel Legends. And Hasbro did it. I collect Black Series. That's probably the main thing I collect, but Marvel Legends is easily probably number 2. So real quick, Marvel Legends, that transition, explain to me what happened with Toy Biz, ended, no more Marvel Legends, got the molds, got the characters, got the line. How did that transition for you guys?
For us, I think it was, I mean, we were like kids at the time, like collecting, and like that was kind of at where the beginning of like, I think where I would call it collecting, because before it was just kids playing with toys. But I think the Build-A-Figures kind of made us, or at least it makes me kind of think like that's where I started collecting. So I was like, okay, I got to get all of these to make my Sentinel or my Apocalypse. And then switching over to Hasbro, I think to me, because like I wasn't a part of any groups or discussions or anything like that, so it was just kind of like confusing as a kid because I was like, oh, they've changed the packaging, there's no comic anymore, this is kind of weird, but still like I still want these Marvel characters, try to make my Build-A-Figures. And then when they switched to Marvel Universe, that was when I was like, okay, I think I'm kind of done with the action figures now. And that was kind of like the time we were in probably early high school or maybe late middle school, getting out of toys.
Toy collecting isn't cool at that age.
Yeah. And then refound it later on and dove in.
How about you, Jordan? When do you recall the transition when Marvel Legends came in and all that?
Yeah, I think pretty similar. You know, I remember really starting with the Spider-Man classics as a kid were the ones that I really got into. So then the Toy Biz ones, and then I think, yeah, as that went on, we got a little older. I think kind of was the tail end of getting Hasbro in that I started buying fewer of them. And then, yeah, the 3 3/4 wasn't really my style. So I remember we'd have those like, man, I remember back in the day, you got the figure, the base, the comic, all that stuff.
You got more bang for your buck.
Yep.
Right. So I think we were, at least for me, I always had a little bit of a skeptical feeling of Hasbro. I think I had those nostalgic Toy Biz feelings, which looking back now, you know, feeling that way, again, we love a lot of the Toy Biz ones, but some of them can be a little rough, you know. So you're like, you know, so
but for the time they were great. I remember actually Dakota, you just posted
as we've gotten older.
Yeah.
How it's
the lag.
Yeah.
Jordan, go ahead, continue. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a lag. But real quick, because Dakota, you actually posted a video today. It was very interesting to see the very important Toy Biz figures that haven't been made by Hasbro. And Goliath was one of them. I think you mentioned that House of M, that pack, with a couple of those figures. Tell me what in your eyes do you think Toy Biz did it better for what they had back then? I know that they did have better paint apps, more bang for your buck. Nowadays, you're lucky if you get 2 pairs of hands and maybe a separate head for your Marvel Legends. What do you think about back then and how important Toy Biz and what they did compared to Marvel Legends now?
I think kind of even just recently, like learning about the actual transition of Toy Biz and Hasbro, I think it gives me a lot more perspective on like why that shift happened, because Toy Biz was Marvel. So like it was kind of like how you get G.I. Joe classifieds now that have, you know, tons of weapons and accessories and things like that that cost the same as what a Marvel Legend costs. That's because Hasbro owns G.I. Joe, so they're not paying that licensing fee out to anybody. It's all in-house. So that's what Toy Biz was too. And I think it made a lot of sense for them to pack in like the Marvel comic, because then that gets you to go to the comic book store and want to keep getting comics.
Yeah.
So I think
that was genius.
Oh yeah, I think we've said that too before, of like, I really think Hasbro should put at the minimum like a QR code in your action figure so that you get a digital comic, just to get people reading more of those. And maybe it doesn't get people to go to the comic book store, but maybe it gets them to go on Marvel Unlimited or something. But just to, you know, funnel money into the comic book industry, I think would be super helpful.
Dakota, Hasbro would say this is doing it. This is enough.
Right. Yeah. See, if they would have done that, and on the back of it you could scan it and you could read that comic, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. It's like Hasbro always is just 2 steps behind of doing something great. And don't get me wrong, some figures they absolutely knock it out of the park. They do some awesome stuff, but that would have been a perfect homage to like the comics back in the day. Even doing digital, I mean, you're not spending money on paper, you don't have to do production on that. It's just a digital comic. And I think sometimes like I like, you know, Ryan, Dwight, all of them, I think they're passionate about it. I think they actually do enjoy what they do, but it's sometimes where it's like really like it's almost like comical. It just doesn't make sense. So back in the day, you got a whole comic book, and I think the correlation, like for us collectors, I know you guys have a comic channel too, comic book channel. I think that there is a connection between Marvel comics and Marvel animation, Marvel action figures, and when you bring those together, it just makes more of a experience, you know. So I think it was a missed opportunity on Hasbro's part to not add a comic to that. And
I think, I don't know if that's like partially like Disney or anything, of like, you know, if Hasbro's like, hey, we want to put in like a digital comic, then Disney's like, okay, we're going to charge you this much more. And like, to me, like, I get that Disney has to make the money, but I would think, I'm surprised that they can't think more long-term in the fact of like, it's not really any skin off Disney's back to be like, here's a code for a digital comic, to then get people to continue, because it's like, if I get issue 1, maybe I'm going to want to read issue 2.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to have to purchase that from Disney, not Hasbro.
Exactly.
So again, I don't know why that conversation's not happening. If anybody out there has a connection to Jesse Falcon, I'd love to talk to him. I feel like he's one of the ones that would actually be pulling those strings. When people ask like Dan and Ryan and Dwight, it's like they're employees. They don't really have that much of a say of like,
correct,
this is what's going to be put out on store shelves. You got to go a little more up the chain for that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think it's one of those things that I know their hands are tied. I know that they do marketing, and you know, Dwight, I think, does design and stuff like that. And you know, the community, the toy community in itself can be a little bit at times, you know, strenuous, and you know, we're very demanding. We want certain things. We want to complete our teams, and it's very frustrating when Hasbro, they, you know, they're not able to finish a team or give us something that, you know, we wanted for a while. I think Mr. Jordan's still having some technical difficulties. Hopefully he's able to. But yeah, so for me, I started collecting Marvel Legends, and my first Marvel Legend was the Wolverine, the one that came with the claws, the heated claws, the red ones. I don't that was my first which wasn't that long ago, but I was like, wow, this is actually really, really cool. And I really enjoyed it. And then from then I told myself, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to comic representations of Marvel Legend figures and X-Men animated series, Spider-Man animated series. That's kind of like what I grew up with. And to me, the Spider-Man line has the Spider-Man animated line. They've been killing it with that. I've loved those releases. X-Men 97. Spoilers, I haven't watched it because I'm catching up on the original 90s series. And they have like there's a lot of seasons. So I've heard nothing but great things about it. But I started collecting the figures, the animated, the 97 one. So let us real quick. Let me bring up on screen. Let's see. So big news today. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you did. Let me share my screen. Here she is. Are you guys able to see?
Yep, we see.
Now we know this is a digital render. Big hype on this. A lot of people been seeing different, you know, with the community on the outfit. You know, some people say she shouldn't be wearing boots. She should be barefoot. What are you guys excited for this? I know we all know this was coming.
I mean, I think it looks really good. I think obviously you're going to have the nerds out there that cry because she's not in a thong bikini. Obviously, but
didn't you leave me a voicemail earlier crying?
What is this?
Right.
He's wearing too many layers.
They ruined my childhood.
Not accurate. Kind of the same with the Goblin Queen and the Goblin HasLab when they're like, oh, there's not enough under boob, not enough. It's like, jeez.
Well, hey, you know what? I will say, if it's source accurate, those comics back then, man, they added some curves and all different types of places. But I think this looks great. I think Marvel Legends does a really good job when it comes to face sculpts and females. They've been killing it as of late, and this actually looks really, really good. I know this is the digital render, like I said, but she looks really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, even the like I don't recognize the hair, if that's maybe like a old She-Hulk hair, but it probably something different. Even you have to correct me, but those hands, I don't feel like we get those very often. Like that's usually more like reserved for like Spider-Man type, like Spinneret maybe has those kind of hands, maybe. But it just looks like maybe we're going to get something a little new instead of just those like spellcasty hands, or just, I feel like the females don't really get the expressive hands that I would like them to see.
Yeah.
And if this is,
there's a lot more surface area to the grip.
Yeah. If Boog Nice is to be believed, then this should be coming in a 3-pack with 2 other figures.
Yeah. So it does seem like, in general, the consensus is that everybody's pretty happy with this. I know some people are upset. the ab crunch, no ab crunch, the lack of. I think Marrow also has that similar where she doesn't, you know, the ab crunch isn't there. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It actually, I'm sure the Zabo Wave, the Build-A-Figure is actually probably might go up in price. Who knows?
Yeah.
Did you guys
I would
pick this
assume
up?
so.
Yeah.
Did you build the Zabo?
I didn't.
Neither did I.
Okay. Do you still have your pieces?
Did you build? Yeah, I still got my pieces.
Okay.
So
okay.
I got
so you're on your way.
3. Yeah. I'm about halfway there.
Believe it or
should've gave
not,
you
the
the
only
head.
figure I got from this wave, even though it's not a bad wave at all, it was that the Cable, which is actually one of my favorite figures. Build-A-Figures. I know you guys mentioned that in one of your last videos. What is your consensus and what do you guys think about Build-A-Figures? Because I have my personal opinions on them. When it comes to more bang for your buck, for sure, 100%. Personally, I just think that when you lock in a very desirable character, for me, it was Blackheart.
Yeah.
So I'm building my Marvel versus Capcom display, and that is like an essential piece, right? And it's like, man, you're like, I got to buy all these figures. I mean, yes, I could sell most of them and get some money back, but it's like you have to do so much more in order to build a figure. What is your guys's opinion on Build-A-Figures?
You can go first, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a really fun idea. I think it's a bummer when it's something that you or everybody really wants, which I get. You know, it sells the figures, maybe the lesser ones that people skip. But I mean, I think for me, it's maybe if there's fewer Build-A-Figures, I don't mind that because I think sometimes you can overdo it where there's almost too many, and it's like, did that one really need to be a Build-A-Figure, or could you have found another way to do it? So
Like Cosmo?
I think it's a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like okay, at this point you're kind of reaching on, you know, which ones should be Build-A-Figures or not. So I think for me, it is a fun idea, and I think it's really cool. Maybe just more selectively, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I think similarly, I like the idea of like being able to like have that collection within a collection, and then you like get your figure, and that's like the prize for collecting them all type of thing. But I think even more than that, I think Build-A-Figures are just important to the line because I think without them, you would get a lot less deep cuts in Marvel Legends, because like even what's on screen here, it's like you would definitely be able to sell Cable. You probably could sell Wolfsbane. I think Zabu and Kazar would have to be in a multi-pack to be able to really sell them well, but you'd never see Black Winter, Red Widow, or probably not even Icarus without being in a Build-A-Figure wave. So I think if they would get rid of Build-A-Figures, you know, people are always complaining that's like, oh, we always get Wolverine and Iron Man and Spider-Man. It's like, that's probably all you would get if you didn't have something to push the deep cut characters like a Build-A-Figure. But I agree, like with when it comes down to like a really desirable Build-A-Figure like Blackheart, I didn't want a single figure from the Blackheart wave. So then I'm kind of like, dang, that's such a bummer, because I was hoping it would be Mephisto, because I didn't care about Mephisto, so I would pass on him, and then maybe Blackheart's a deluxe and I get that. But I don't know, I'll wait a little while, the prices will cool down, or I'll get them in a lot or something. Blackheart will find his way into my collection at some point.
Yeah. And eventually you'll see them, you know, hit the market, and with everything that's going on right now. And I wanted to bring up this point of the tariffs, and I think everything cooled down. I think the US and China came up to like a mutual agreement within the last 48 hours or so. So it doesn't seem like we're going to be too heavily affected by those tariffs. I think they significantly lowered the percentage that they were saying. So now there's not this, you know, craze of like, you know, action figures going for ridiculous amounts and all that. I did see on Amazon that a couple of the Black Series Hasbros were going for $31.99. And I know that other websites were increasing prices, GameStop being one of them. And I know sites like Big Bad was said that they were going to include a surcharge for the tariffs later on. Would there be a point, guys, where the $24.99 basic Marvel Legends, if it reaches a certain amount, you guys are out? Or would you change your collecting habits? Are you, what with the tariff situation, what were you guys thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already kind of changed our collecting habits just because it's like $24.99 is still a pretty good chunk of change, but then going up past that, then you really have to like look at the characters and be like, all right, is this something that I need in my collection? Because there was like when Jordan and I first got in, like when people were selling loose figures for like $10, it didn't matter what it was, we were going to buy it. But
yeah,
after having a sizable collection, budget's limited, space is limited, like everything's got to kind of be put on a microscope now. And I think if the higher Legends go, the less we're gonna get. I don't know that I would ever say I'm gonna be like totally priced out, because if they ever made like a Frankencastle, Jordan would spend any amount of money on that. If they ever made a Kashala, I'll drop anything, I'll buy it. But I'm probably not going to get those other characters. Like I'd probably never buy another full wave if they were, $30.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. That. Go ahead, Jordan. Were you going to add on that?
No, yeah, I think just getting a little more selective. I mean, Alex, I bought the Maximum Spider-Man, so I can't say I'm going to say no to higher price tags if the occasion calls for it. But yeah, I think becoming more selective for sure was something that we were thinking about, and I think have done in some ways already.
Yeah, and we also deal with the whole infamous, not enough space. And then for me, I started collecting quick and I started collecting hard, and I got in deep. And I was like, I was like, okay, now I'm up to the point where it's like, I really have to pick and choose. Is this something that I absolutely want in my display? Is this a character that's essential? Is this something that I really, really want? This is where like the rule of cool, depending on how cool it is, dictates whether or not I'm actually going to pay that price. Because nowadays, my collection, I'm pretty happy with everything that I have. I know I do have a couple of pre-orders. There's a couple of figures that I want. And we always know that Hasbro, and I think you guys are big advocates for just waiting. Don't pay the scalper pricing, especially on that Daredevil, the one that came with the cell shading. I don't think we're going to get something like that. I think that's very unique, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get another Daredevil. We're going to get, figures usually release again and again. So I actually thank you guys for that, because sometimes you look back at a figure has antiquated articulation or paint apps, and you're like, man, this is like 2x, 3 times the price of retail. And then if you wait long enough, something better is going to come out. So I've been kind of changing my collecting habits. I've been kind of seeing like, okay, what is it that I need? What is it that I want? And then from there, if the prices went to the 30, I think I already started changing my collecting habits before the tariff situation happened because of spacing. But it's just even more. I'm only going to collect like the essentials. That's kind of going to be my how I move forward. But yeah, and then luckily, so I don't know if you guys collect imports. Are you guys big on imports?
I'll get a few Mafexes here and there. Like I usually only do like some DC figures for Mafex.
Okay.
Jordan dabbles a little in Hush Batman. I got pretty like Hush Nightwing. I've got coming over right now. Hopefully should be here soon, is the Superboy and Cyborg or Eradicator.
Nice.
So
how about you, Jordan?
Go ahead.
Do you dabble in imports?
I have some Mafex, definitely not to Dakota. I think Dakota's got me beat quite a bit there.
Yeah.
You've got me beat on Mezcos, though.
That's true. I do like my Mezcos.
We'll talk Mezco in a bit.
Import, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right? I would consider it.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then yes.
I would consider. I do collect
behind me here. Right. Got my Doc Knock and my Atticus Doom and Bartholomew. Those are 3 that I really like.
Nice.
They're quite obscured by my mic right now, but yes, those ones are fun.
I actually collect Dragon Ball Z, the SH Figure Arts ones. Big fan of Dragon Ball Z. I love the articulation on those. but not all of them are those 80, 90, 100 price tags. Some of them you get for 35, which are nice. I don't know how they pick and choose which ones are 35, which ones are 75, because it's literally the same size. Team Gohan goes for $70, but then I got freaking Goku for 35 and a Vegeta for 35. So that's how they get you. If you want to complete a team, it's like, all right, you're gonna have to pay the price. But one that I really want to get, and I it's just way too much in the aftermarket, is the Daredevil, that reissue of the Mafex one. I hear nothing but good things about that, and I don't have a Daredevil. I don't have the one from the 3-pack with the Elektra and Bullseye. I don't have the one that came in with Hydro Man. I don't have a Daredevil. So
Secret Wars Wave 2.
Yeah, so we can talk leaks for a little bit. So what I know you guys have had a leaks video. I know displaying model behavior Dave he's kind of like the go-to now with leaks, and he did mention, and you guys tune into that video. Go follow Strong Collectors. They have a great video with that. That Wave 2 looks packed with some good stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely most excited for that Daredevil. Like, I have my cell shaded, but I would also like just a plain classic red one. But yeah, I'm excited for it because I didn't get anything from the first Secret Wars. I might get that Iron Man just because I like
really nothing at all.
I mean, I've got my symbiote Spider-Man that I like.
Okay,
I like the yellow Wolverine more than I like the brown suit.
Okay,
don't know.
How about the Captain America? I know you guys mentioned that the Captain America in the video that you guys were like,
I'm gonna wait for the maximum or whatever comes next, because I really do like my 20th Captain America.
It's a great one. Yeah,
I think if I was gonna keep them on card, I think they look amazing in box. But to take them out, and like if I had somewhere to display, then I probably would be like more excited about getting the Secret Wars figures. But living in a bus, I can't really do in-box collecting right now, so not really good timing.
Yeah, I think if we'd grown up with those actual OG Secret Wars, that would be a definite need, is how sweet the packaging was on those, because that's some of the coolest I think they've done.
Yeah,
I don't know. Bold claim might be ever, but definitely in a long time, I think.
Yeah.
So this is the one you were referring to. I still haven't opened most of these. The only one that I did open was Titania. She's over there. Great figure. She's awesome. But yeah, I think like the packaging is awesome. I love when Marvel Legends does stuff like this, because if you're an inbox collector, you're you can potentially buy two, one to keep on card, one to open up. So to me, it's like it's more profitable. And when they did remember the Dark Ages with the plastic free packaging, you couldn't look at your figs. That was like a big, like the whole community was very upset with that. What did you guys feel with that?
If you go back and watch our hot takes
episode, might have a hot take.
Our hot take was
really
we did not mind the windowless packaging, because we're gonna buy all of our stuff from online anyway. Like, it's all pre-orders. Like, I'm not really hunting in store anymore, just because they're not stocked well enough where we are. So I'm just gonna pre-order it anyway, and then if it comes bad, then I'll just return it to Amazon or Hasbro or wherever I got it from.
That's true.
And then, like, because I always am stressed about, like, especially figures with capes. Like, they put the cape through the plastic, and then I got to pull it out, and it's like I could probably cut around it. I'm impatient. I just want to get my toys out of the box. When it came windowless, it was just in a little baggie inside of a box, and I didn't have to worry about scratching nothing. So
you know what? The argument too was when Black Series did it. The lightsabers, they came in very properly packaged, so there was less like QC or less issues when it came to accessories. Me, on the other hand, it's not like so much that I minded it. I do like toy hunting. I know it's a pain in the butt, but I like going to Target. I like going to Walmart. I like looking for things. You get this rush that it's hard to explain. When you see something on the shelf that you've been looking for, and you're like, oh my god, no way, and then you look at it, and you look at the paint apps, and I'm very picky when it comes to like face, hands, all that. I mean, the paint on hands, I'm not really, but it's like the face. So I like to look, and I'll analyze. I'm the type that I'll grab two, and I'm like looking. I'm like, okay, this here, okay, this one looks like it's the best one, right? But I also do pre-order a lot. I think it's just the hassle, and having, with work and everything, you don't have the time to go to Target at 9 in the morning, and securing a pre-order just makes life a lot simpler. So I totally agree when it comes to that. When it was the plastic-free packaging, I mean, or if you pre-order something, you're not going to really look at it anyways.
Right.
But I do understand that there is a large community that are inbox or in-card, on-card collectors, and they like to display and all that. So I think overall, I think I'm happy they went back to the plastic. I don't know what the environmentalists are going to say about it.
Right.
I know
I mean,
somebody.
I don't think it was ever like Hasbro saying like, oh, we're going to do plastic free for the, that was not what they were doing it for. They were doing it to save a buck on plastic,
money.
I'm sure. So,
Literally.
but I do think that probably did. I think they switched it back because they probably killed their retail, I would assume, especially like getting new collectors. Like you're not going to really walk down the toy aisle and be like, oh, that's a picture of a toy, usually a digital render of it too. So I'm like, I don't even really know what's in that box. So like, I'm not going to waste my time starting that collection because I don't know what it is. And then just going to walk by. For me, I've got my toys. I know what they're going to look like. I'll order it, but a new person probably is not going to jump into the line during windowless packaging.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And I think every day we're getting new collectors. I think that's the point. I think that's what keeps lines alive, is getting new people in the community. And you had, I don't know if this ever happened to you personally, but I've heard horror stories of when it was the windowless packaging. People would swap figs. It's like, wow, what, you know, they would buy something, take it out, put an old fig, wrap it again in the paper, tape it up, send it to Target. Some schmuck would just come buy it, open it, and like, what the hell is this? And it's like, it was a horrible time for that. So that's another thing that a lot of people were very upset. So yeah, I am one of those that at one point I was going to keep a lot of my figures on card or in box, but then again, like me, I don't know if you guys are inbox collectors. For some things really. I can't open. I keep them sealed very rarely. I don't know if you guys are able to see. Hold on, let me move my camera. So I just added that Sentinel recently. I got it for a great price. Somebody was selling it near me, and these are still in box. I do not plan on selling them. I know you guys have a Galactus. I think that, you know, when the market gets good, you guys gotta see if you can cash out. But I haven't opened them yet, not because I don't want to, but I've been kind of just holding them. I like the display. I like how they look for now. So I'm like kind of like, oh, like, but for the most part, I open my figures. I like to articulate them. I'm not really big on action figure photography. I would like, I'm not into it because I'm not good at it, but it's something I would love to explore more. How about you guys? Do you guys collect anything in box or keep anything on card?
The only thing I've got in box is the Series 1 Toy Biz Marvel Legends.
Ooh,
like I want to get all those as like, you know, just sealed. Like they're not really mint or anything. Like some of the boxes are yellow, some of them are cracked or whatever, but I just wanted to have those like in the whole clamshell on display because the figures themselves, there's better versions of Captain America and Hulk and all that. So, but I just like as a history piece, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then otherwise, the only things that I have in box are either things that I'm like saving for a rainy day because I don't like to open them all at once. Like I kind of want to like spread out my openings. So I've always got new figures.
So you have something to open.
Exactly. Or if I've got something that I'm like, I don't know if I want this or not, like I'll keep like mostly if it's just a retro card, I'm like, if I want to sell it, it's going to be way better if it's sealed as a retro card. Correct. If I get like an extra or something. But yeah, otherwise pretty much all loose. I saved the box for my Galactus. I just like flattened it, and I'll next time we get a house or an apartment, I'll put it up as like a poster, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, for me, I have the 20th Toy Biz on card that they did. So I got all four of those because I you know, nostalgic for the Toy Biz ones. So I like those ones on card, look cool. I have a couple retro cards. I think that yellow Daredevil from Unlimited I thought looked pretty sweet. So I've kept that one sealed. A couple other retros, but unless it's a retro or specific packaging, I usually don't keep them sealed. Just, I mean, big one is space for that too.
Space. Oh man, I remember when I opened a bunch of figures about last month, and my closet was full. And I'm telling you, 20 figures takes up a bunch of boxes. It's insane. So it actually relieves a little bit of stress. But I kind of, Dakota, I do something similar where I'll buy like this Iron Man. I've had this for a while, and I'll keep it in box, and not because I'm gonna keep it sealed, but because I'm gonna open it eventually. And I kind of keep my figures that way. Later on, I look forward to opening, because if you open up everything right away, it kind of takes the fun away. So I definitely like to spread out what I pick up.
Yeah, these are probably
look at that.
Open up this weekend figures.
That chameleon is nice. I know Dan Who is very happy we got that.
Right.
Yeah. I think for you guys, is it the Mandarin? Is that your chameleon in Dan Who's eyes? Is that who you guys want?
Not
or
really. I mean,
really?
I think we have our more like obscure, like probably not actually going to happen ones.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like a more realistic one for me would be like an A-bomb would be cool.
What's up, man?
I'm sure I've got others, but I mean, I really want a Kashala. That's more of the like way out there ones. But
speaking of which, have you guys pre-order anything new coming up? So this Warpath X23, I've heard, is actually shipping. I think some people got notifications that this is actually coming out. What do you guys think about this 2-pack?
I was very on the fence about this one. I think Jordan talked me down because, like I said, I've very limited space here. I like the looks.
What did I say to talk you down? Please remind me, because
probably just that I didn't need it.
Oh, okay.
Because I was going to get the Archangel.
Because Alex always does the exact opposite to me and tries to talk me into buying almost everything and anything.
Especially with Mythic Legions, I see.
Right? Maybe I overcorrect by going to the other side of that. But, I'm very pro toy buying, as just so that's clear.
Yeah. Well, because I told you, like when I got in the bus, I was like, I need you to like, stop me from pre-ordering things.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Because with that Archangel that just recently, and then you had that Nightcrawler. It's like the team is they're amping it up. So I did pre-order this. I did pick this up. I just something about black and gray suits.
Yeah,
you get me with that, man.
It looks so cool.
It looks so good. And that Archangel also, I know that's shipping out too. I think that was slated for either July or June, but some people already got it in hand, and it looks awesome. But I will tell you this, Dakota, you're saving a good chunk of money by passing on. Yeah,
and that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, if I don't order that 2-pack, because I was mainly on the fence about this Archangel, because I love, if you put wings on something, big fan, black and gray, like you said, looks so cool. But I was like, Jordan was like, hey, they're not going to just make these new wings for one figure. They're going to put out the classic, or like, the purple and blue suit. So I was like, all right, I'll wait for that. But this looks super cool. But if I'm not getting him, then I don't need that X23 and Warpath 2-pack either. So then I was like, okay, that's a good chunk of change I'm going to save, and then I'll put that towards something down the road.
Did you guys see that Archangel, the Diamond Select one, the Marvel Select one? I'm sorry, that looked pretty nice too.
Yeah, I like the look of it. I just, especially with those, like the scale and the articulation on those never really blow me away. Like I like the bigger figures that Select does, like the Rhino is really cool.
Juggernaut, Colossus.
Yep.
So Hulk.
Those are good. But yeah, the more like normal sized person superhero type of characters, I don't love the articulation, so I usually pass on those. But
what's crazy? I've always brought this up to some of the other guys that I talk Black Series with. Are you guys more of articulation, or are you more on paint and sculpt? Because for some, some figures do it better when it comes to articulation. Others, like for me, Diamond Select absolutely kills it for bang for your buck. I mean, Marvel Select, that Juggernaut for $30, Colossus, all of those. I got that Red Hulk for $30. And there's paint on it, and the sculpt looks good. Even the Fantastic Four, they just announced. I think they already came out, and that Captain America, that they look phenomenal. It's just the articulation and the scale is off. Obviously, they're 7-inch. For you guys in your collection, what do you guys see more important, or just the balance of both? What for you guys, articulation or paint?
Go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, I think I'm going to lean probably more articulation in a lot of ways, just because I think it's a lot of the fun is getting it in different poses, moving him around. I think it lets you do a lot more with your displays. I think, especially with the scale, like if I only had a few figures, I'd probably be maybe more articulation. But I think with the amount figures that we end up getting, I think having the articulation is cool. Just to me, that's a lot more of the fun of it, or that's a lot more my style. I mean, I have some like NECAs and stuff, and I like the NECAs.
Oh, NECA, I love NECA.
Yeah, I think it depends on the figure. Like my Universal Monsters, I don't need, Frankenstein doing the splits. Well, actually, that sounds fun now that I talk about it. I would like a Frankenstein that could do the splits. But like I don't want a Spider-Man that's just standing there kind of stagnant with his arms at his sides that can only go up and down. But with like some of my NECAs, yes, I'm cool with those being great with sculpt and then just kind of standing there more. But I think with more of the superhero action, those kind of dynamic ones, it's kind of frustrating. And I think we've had that with some McFarlanes that can look really great, but it's like I can't really get them to do too much.
Yeah. I'd say I'm in the same boat of, because like, yeah, with my displays, I don't usually have them just like standing. Usually it's, they're in some sort of pose. And I would say I'm probably more on the articulation side than Jordan, just because like I have my NECA gargoyles and I have them just because I like gargoyles. But I was like, even as I was getting them, I'm kind of like, these don't really, like, they're articulated, but they just don't really, there's not poses that you can really put them in that I really love. So I think, to me, I really like the articulation. I guess Mythic Legions don't have nearly as much articulation as Marvel Legends. They're kind of getting more, but I think those are on like a whole other scale of figure and not for that much more cost. So, because cost does play into it too, because like nothing's going to move as good as a Mafex, but I can't just have a whole collection of Mafexes because that's just too expensive, and they don't make enough figures either. So
yeah,
that's where Marvel Legends is a good sweet spot of, lower price tag for now and still articulates well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think NECA does a phenomenal job. I am obsessed with the TMNT line, the movie, The Secret of the Ooze, and the first one. I think that I'm looking at them right now. I think that what NECA did, with these figures is absolutely, it's jaw dropping how they look so much like they do in the movie, and the attention to detail, paint apps, and everything. And like you guys said, I look at Marvel Legends. They're superheroes. You want them to articulate. You want to get them in cool poses. I think I watched these other guys. It's another toy collecting channel, and one of the guys mentioned, and his name is Toy Gains. He mentioned that he likes that every line, he likes something about that line. And the diversity in toy collecting of what NECA does, of what Marvel Legends does, of what Mafex does, that it allows your collection to be different. If everything was the same, it'd be kind of boring, But then there's people that like that. They only collect one line, they're completionists, and everybody has their preferences. Me, on the other hand, I like NECA for what they do on that end. I like what Marvel Legends does on this end. I like how Mezco, it feels like they're wearing, a lot of people don't like the fabric. I really like it if it's done right, So I think every line is different for what it is. I think I've been trying to get into Mythic Legions, and I appreciate it for what it is. But for me, and I don't know if Jordan can agree or not, and Dakota, I know you've made this argument before. I collect what I collect because I have a connection to it. I have something tangible. I have a memory. I have a series. I have a comic. And when it's something that I've never seen before, I can appreciate for what it is, the craft that they do, the fabric, the weapons, everything, the paint. But it's very hard for me to start something new when I don't have a direct connection to that mythos or whatever it may be. So to me, I collect these toys because it brings me back to this particular character. So like people who collect Mythic Legions, to me, they're like in a different level of collecting. Just they're just like top tier collectors, so I really appreciate that. But
yeah, I feel like with Mythic Legions, it's like an easier thing to collect, or like there's obviously any toy collector is going to complain about something, but I think like Marvel Legends puts out Jean Grey, and she doesn't have boots, what the heck, this Shauna shouldn't have boots, where's her butt? And then but Mythic Legions can put out Necronominus, and that's their character. I can't say like, a Necronominus is supposed to look like this. I'm seeing Necronominus for the first time, and like everything he comes with is super cool because it's the first time I've ever seen him. Yeah. So I think that kind of point, it's a good good thing for them. But then also like the reason I love him so much is because I can do the pop and swaps, and now like it doesn't even matter what they said this character was. I've made my own, and I'm going to come up with the story of it. So now I'm more connected because this is mine, not they didn't tell me what it was. So that's what I love about it.
And you're imaginative. You can create something, and that speaks a lot to the collector when you're able to get something and make either your own story or I know some of them do have stories though. I think they have bios, right?
Yeah, most of them have bios, and like I'll follow those sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, actually, this isn't a villain, this is a hero, or this is actually a villain, and these two are in a team instead of that. And you can mix and match, and doesn't have to be right.
Yeah, and I know it has a huge backing. I know there's a strong community for them and for the collectors that collect Mythic Legions. And me personally, I appreciate it. That Figura Obscura, the Ganesha, I can't pronounce it, but the
elephant.
The elephant. Oh my! I think that is like a work of art. It looks beautiful. It's not for me, but I can look at something and really appreciate it for what it is. How about you, Jordan? What do you feel about collecting things that maybe you're not too familiar with and trying things out like that?
Yeah, I think Dakota can do that a lot easier than me. I think I've gotten better at that. As with his selling of Mythic Legion. So yeah, I've come to appreciate that part of it for sure. But I do see where you're coming from, where for me, it is a lot easier to say, I have this connection, I know this thing, and that makes me more likely to get it. But I do think it's fun for that imaginative piece, kind of reminds you of a kid where maybe your older brother gave you this weird looking toy and you're like, I don't know who this guy is, but I got to find a way that he fits into my life right now. So, I think that can be kind of fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do like the Figura Obscura. I think that's a good blend for them to take like recognizable things, but then put their spin on it. I think is fun.
Yeah, I actually picked up the Gods of Egypt, the original ones. I know they're re-releasing them in, I think, a different colorway, but I got the original ones, and I think that was a stunning release too. But yeah, I can appreciate something for what it is. I can look at something and say, wow, like this is what, for $70, you can look at something and be like, wow, like they put their heart and soul into something. They created, you can see everything that went to this figure, right? And then you can get a Marvel Legend, and mind you, it's $1 billion company, and they don't just focus on Hasbro doesn't just focus on Marvel Legends. They focus on so much more. I think they're getting into gaming and other types of things. So, but you can see that the craft is there, and especially with that dragon, like that thing was incredible. I almost picked it up just for like the rule of cool of like, man, I don't want the whole FOMO thing. Came in like last minute. I was like, I'll just figure it out where to put it. I'll have him hanging. He'll greet people that come into my house. I was just like, but I couldn't. I just couldn't pull the trigger at the end because I was like, I don't have space for it. And it would literally be FOMO and getting something that, dragons are cool. I've always liked dragons and dinosaurs and all that, but it was like an unnecessary thing for me, especially because I don't collect. But for anybody else, I'd be like, that's an absolute masterpiece. And Dakota, I think I remember you saying that you didn't pick up the dragon. Is that correct?
Yeah, too expensive and too big. I just, even if I had a house or like a big area to display, like it just, to me, it was too much real estate. And I've kind of said with like HasLabs and everything too, is like you can only have so many of those statement pieces before you just run out of room. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's happening to me.
In the future, I'm sure they're gonna do another dragon, I would assume, or something else cool like that. Maybe it'll be smaller, maybe it'll be a little cheaper, maybe I'll jump on that one. But
The
one,
FOMO thing doesn't apply to you?
Not as much when it's that expensive. I think when it's like a regular Mythic Legion, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna want that, so like I'm gonna like pre-order it instead of waiting for it to be at retail. Like that one will get me a lot faster, because then there's also that savings of like, oh, if I pre-order it, it's $37. If I wait for it to go to retailers, it's gonna be 50. So like that gets me. But with the dragon, like I said, I was just like, obviously in a bus, I cannot put it in here, no way. But yeah,
did you think the value was there though?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say for one dragon, yeah, I think it works for that. I think if they were going to do more at that price point, then maybe I would say like, okay, we're just really only making these for the people that can afford it, because I would, it's like, it's a statement piece. Like, this is the dragon to get. So I guess, drop your $550 for the dragon, but then if you want wings and fire, you've got to spend almost $1,000. That's just so much for one toy. I mean, like, obviously you get all these other characters too, which I wanted the characters more than I wanted the dragon. So
man, these guys, yeah, absolutely amazing. I think these guys, they're probably going to go for a pretty penny on the aftermarket. I can imagine. A lot of people were skeptical on this guy. The paint, it seemed like it lacked paint, but then they sent out what the final product was going to look more, and then it does seem like it has good paint. But these guys look amazing.
Yeah, those were that. Like the green one is kind of the one I want the most, and also I love the translucent figures, so getting the like fiery knight would be cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would assume that those guys are probably going to go for like, I wouldn't even be shocked to see $200 for one of them. So
did everything unlock at the end? I think that it did, right?
I think it was fully unlocked. I don't even remember for sure.
Yeah. No, I think what they create is artistic. I think it's very, you don't see things like this walking around Target. You're not going to see anything like this. So I really can, you can look at a toy line and really appreciate what it is that they do. And then you get frustrated with Hasbro because they're, giving you two hands or two sets of hands and your basic figure, and it's like, what? Like, where's the value of this? And I think one thing that I've brought up in the past is the perceived value. I think people want to look at something, a product, regardless of what it is, right? It doesn't have to be an action figure, and feel like you're getting value out of this. Like, feel like, what it is that I have. And I think Marvel Legends, especially the Black Series, man, they're notorious for having barely anything. Where you're like, is there value in this? And what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, it has a huge impact for sure. I mean, that's a philosophy from old Todd McFarlane that he's talked about, that idea of like, even if you don't really want it, you got to fill out the box. Otherwise, it could be a great base figure, but if it looks really empty, there is that feeling of like, this is a great figure, but it didn't really come with anything, So I think even a not as great figure that you don't care about, if it comes with a lot of stuff, you can be blown away and more impressed by that, even if you weren't as excited for it. But it's like, well, it comes with that and that and that, and that's not too bad.
I will say the one caveat is when it comes to accessories that you're like, and we'll talk about this later, because I do agree, people, you definitely want more bang for your buck. You want to see your package full of things, but when it's things that you're like, are these really, it seems like in that particular instance, I feel like the Marvel Legends team just threw those accessories just to fill the box up. But I totally agree. In general, though, the consensus is that you definitely want to fill it up. And NECA is notorious for that. You're spending $35 on a character with paint, with good sculpt, and you're getting a ton of accessories. You're getting hands, you're getting world building items, you're getting face sculpts, you're getting this, you're getting that. So I think the perceived value at 35 versus 25, you get a little more for that. And just to round it out, this is the obviously the Nightcrawler. So I did go all in. I'm telling you, the rule of cool, black and gray. You're gonna get me with that. So, did any of you guys pick up MCU? Are you guys into MCU by any chance?
No, I try to stick just comic. I mean, there's a few things that have like squeezed in, but otherwise, it's I try not to look too much at MCUs because I always like the comic versions better, and then that's just something that can kind of, keep me on some sort of a rule to keep within a budget. So
yeah,
I think I've got more than you on that, Dakota, for MCU, but I do have this Daredevil ordered.
Yeah,
I did decide to get him.
He does look cool.
I do love the Daredevil show.
A lot of people were happy with these and excited for them. I haven't seen the Daredevil show. I've heard nothing but good things, so that's another thing I do have to start. Just time is for me is I barely have time for anything. So, but I've heard a lot of good things about that. I don't pick up anything MCU like Dakota. I stick to either comic, renditions of my characters or game because I'm a big Marvel versus Capcom 2 fan. But when it comes to MCU, I can look at something and appreciate it. Like I love Civil War, I love Winter Soldier, but it doesn't mean I have to get the figures. And it's my collection's already big to begin with. So, but speaking of which, game though, this Venom. So a lot of people are starting to get this in hand. I think Amazon had it available for shipping, $60. It's a massive figure. It's about, I think it's over 10 inches. What do you guys think?
I love me a big figure. I don't love this one though.
Really?
I've got so many Venoms, and to me, I always like Venom being a little bit bigger than Spider-Man. So when they do like the monster Venom, I didn't really love that one as much either, because to me, Venom's a little bit, he's just like a buff dude. So
okay.
This is one of those that I can appreciate. Like, he comes with a slobber effect. Like, we're in the day and age that I can get slobber as an effect now. I love when hands are weapons. So this symbiote grabbing effect here looks really cool to me. I never played the game either, so maybe if I played the game, maybe I would be a little bit more tempted to. But I think it looks awesome, and I really hope Hasbro keeps making the big figures like this, because when they did Super Adaptoid, I was really worried that they're like, oh, here's this figure. If you guys like this scale, make sure you go out and buy it. And I was like, but you're putting out like a character nobody cares about in like a really cool way.
It would have been a Giant Man with good,
if they had done a Giant Man or
I think if they do one
a Sentinel
tomorrow,
crazy.
I think people would still buy it, considering that they have the because you want that half scale. And I think you brought that up in your last video of how you like the Giant Man, the Toy Biz one, the Build-A-Figure one. Because it's like an appropriate size. It's not too big where the HasLab one is just massive. Right. Everything else is, and it's like a good size. And I think that, I think if they would have done a better character, it would have sold. And do you think that Hasbro is now turned off with the whole idea that the Super Adaptoid didn't do well? Are they kind of like, let's put that in the back burner?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this guy's big, so I mean, maybe this is a good chance.
He sold out really well on Amazon. He's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, so I'm hoping this is a signal that we do want bigger figures, and I hope they don't they see it as like, obviously Venom is going to sell kind of no matter how you put him out, but hopefully they're like, okay, what's the next 10-inch figure we could do, and then we get something like that, because I'm a slut for big figures. This one wasn't it for me, but I had that Super Adapter, and he's real cool.
I don't know what it is about a big, bulky, that Hulk Buster that came out. It's just it just feels good. It feels like you're like, this is nice, man. Yeah, right. I like it.
It's like that perceived value, like you said. You're just like, this is
and especially if it feels heavy, you're like, there was a lot of money, a lot of plastic using this. That freaking Juggernaut, the Marvel Select Juggernaut, you can kill somebody with that.
Right.
Heavy, dude. It's massive. Jordan, did you pick this up by any chance?
I did not, Alex. So you might be disappointed in me as well. No. I did play the game, and I liked it a lot. I think for me, I'd be more partial to Lizard from the Spider-Man game. I think I would get that.
Is this accurate though? Does this actually?
I like that Lizard,
I haven't played the game either.
I think that's about how he looks. Yeah, I think they got the look right. For me, though, as Dakota said, I've got a lot of Venoms in my collection. I always say, I don't know if I need another Venom, and then I end up buying one. So
we've got that leaked blue one coming out, maybe.
Right. I probably want that too. I've been playing the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 emulator they put out a collection, and I'm like, man, I'm probably gonna have to buy a lot more of these than I thought. So I got to be a little bit strategic in my Venom fund. But if this one was on sale or ever found it, I could probably find my way into it.
I like my big figs. I don't collect Hot Toys, just because I think that's next level.
Yeah.
Like if Mythic Legions are up here, that's like a tier way above,
Right.
So, but I do like my big figs. I did pre-order this, so we'll see when it comes in. $60. You know what's crazy? A lot of people weren't saying too much about the $60 for this, but a lot of people lost it with the $60 Hulk maximum that we'll talk about later. So it's crazy how it depends on what it is, and people lose their minds when it comes to certain, something at the same price. And people will say, no, for $60, no. And then at $60, they're like, oh yeah, I'd pay $60 for a Venom. So the whole wave, they don't look bad. I did pick up that symbiote Spider-Man. I just love how the deco on the costume looks. I think it kind of looks really cool. Like it actually looks like the one on the game. He has this like weird textured. I'm a sucker for anything symbiote Spider-Man. I love that costume. The Black Cat, I pre-ordered her too. She looks pretty cool. I would love a comic version of her. I know there was an older one that was very, provocative. I don't see the team making anything like that anytime soon. So this Black Cat will do for now. Did you guys pick up any in this wave?
None for me. I was tempted by the anti-Venom suit, but again, not playing the game, I was kind of like, these are. Yeah, I've got my Spider-Mans. I'll pass. I don't know if you're going to bring him up later, but the other Gamerverse one, not a part of the wave, but the Ghost Spider one, that one's more tempting to me.
No, I don't have it. Yeah,
I didn't pre-order him,
but
I like the look of that one. So
that looks really cool. Is that real cool kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if somebody's head's on fire, Dakota will definitely.
If you got wings, if you've got a weapon for an arm, if your head's on fire,
you got me halfway there.
Right, he would buy an Aunt May figure in a heartbeat if her head was on fire. So I was most thinking about the symbiote again, but then for me, I think it's like maybe if there'd been Lizard, I'd be like, okay, if I get Lizard, I probably need the symbiote Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So for me, it's maybe more the synergy piece. But there's some other suits. I was kind of surprised by the choice of suits for these, to be honest, because if you've played the game, there are so many different suits in there, which I feel like there's a lot of suits I like. I really was not a big fan of some of the choices they went with. But if they, again, it's not that it always has to be for me, and I'm okay with that because then I get to save a little bit. But I'm glad they did that Black Cat, and I would love to see a new comic Black Cat. Would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's hope if that Lizard does come out, let's say next year, are you going to backtrack and pick some up, or are you going to try to collect?
I could see myself getting the symbiote one at that point. I think that'd probably be the one that I'd want to go for. Yeah,
you have that first Miles Morales, that came in the Armadillo wave, so you got him going.
I have that Miles. I think I have one of the original PS4.
Don't you? Yeah,
I have the original, the first one. I didn't buy
that retail for $35, right?
Yeah, that was kind of wild, so I passed on that one. I have the older one though, like the very first version they did. I still have him.
What do you guys think about when Hasbro, like for example, that Spider-Man 3 symbiote with the $30 price tag? What's your opinion on that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand why they do it. I guess Sony, I don't know. It's probably something to do with the rights. And did you guys think that did you guys pick this up first of all? And at that $30 price tag, do you think it was justified, or what's your opinion on that?
No, I didn't pick him up, and I think $30 is silly. Like it doesn't come with enough stuff to warrant the extra price. So that, to me, I was like, I feel like that's like an easy pass. Like it's MCU, so like obviously I don't have a whole lot of like desire for them to begin with. Like I have the 3 Spider-Man, like the 3-pack from the No Way Home movie.
Oh, they did us dirty with that though.
Yeah. Jordan's got a lot to say about that.
I'm still salty about that.
Oh man, I got that pack too. And then when they released them with the head sculpts, and I was like, what? For cheaper?
Yeah. Maybe that'll be another episode of Strong Collectors' most disappointing moments. And I was
even let down just by the Raimi Spider-Man sculpt. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball pretty bad on that. But if I'd like loved that sculpt, because I still have the original Toy Biz ones that are just so cool. And I love those. So like, if I'd really liked that, I probably would have thought about getting the symbiote one, because I do love those movies. Those are the Spider-Mans I always love watching.
Me too. Spider-Man 2 especially. I know Spider-Man 3, it went through that weird where I'm sure if we watch it now, we're like, oh, this isn't that bad. But at the time, for whatever reason, it just, I don't know if the decisions, I don't know. But there's that nostalgic connection where I'm like, okay, I pre-ordered this initially, and I think it sold out in some places, the pre-orders, and I think it was just like the rule of like the nostalgic factor. But then I looked at my Spidey from the 3-pack, and it does not articulate well, like at all. I don't know if, I know it has the butterfly joints, but it's really hard to get him in decent poses. So I'm like, why am I going to spend $30 on something that I'm already like, So kind of decided ultimately to pass on it. So yeah, I mean, some things, people will like, and other things it's like, nah, that's not for me. But yeah, we were talking about, I think, Jordan, I don't know if you were there. I know you had issues with your internet, but we were talking about comics and how we really think that the Marvel Legends team had a good opportunity to do something really cool with this wave, and I think they dropped the ball. I think something like Dakota was mentioning, like do a QR code in the back of the mini comics, where you buy the figure, you get a digital download, you can read, and it makes people kind of get back into comics. And Dakota was mentioning how somebody want to be like, all right, well, I got the first issue of this, let me go ahead and download the second, third. It's potential for revenue.
Right.
Like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, I there's nothing. I mean, it's cool to hold your figure, to hold it or anything, but what's your opinion on how they did all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the QR code thing is a really cool idea, and I think that'd be a fun way to bring back that old feeling, like the Toy Biz, you get the comic with it.
Yeah.
I think that was my feeling at first. Like, what is the point of this? I have seen people, maybe you've seen these too, those like 3D printed like comic racks, and they put them on there, which I think is actually really cool. And I'm like, man, it makes me want to get that, because I'm like, oh, that's kind of a fun. You could make a cool scene. And I do like this image even here where it's like them looking at their comics. I think that's a really fun idea. So I don't know. I mean, I think for me, that's a cool, like those little asides that maybe don't matter to everybody, but I do think it's for me, it's the toe hinge philosophy. I know you don't always need the toe hinge, but I always like it when I see it. So I thought this was a fun addition, but I do think the QR code is a cool idea.
Yeah. And there's something about comics, and I know comics, like mom and pop shops, they're dying. They're not, it's really hard to survive, and now like in a digital age. I'm a huge physical media kind of guy. Like I still collect. If I buy a game, I'll buy the physical version, just because I feel like, more bang for your buck. I feel it's a tangible thing I can hold instead of downloading it. I know a lot of my buddies, like, they download everything. They're like, why am I going to buy it? It's just easier just to, I'm like, yeah, but do you really own the game? It's like, and what if what if Skynet shuts everything down and you want to play your game? Same thing with comics. I like holding books. I like reading them. I like turning the pages. I like holding it. I'm already enough on this stupid device, watching the strong collectors.
Yeah, we're about to start making VHSs though, Alex.
There you go.
So I'm a huge fan of anything like that's gonna bring back that simpler time where you have a comic in your hand and reading. I think that's cool, and I think it was a missed opportunity. I think they could have definitely gotten a couple of new people to get back into either comics but I'd rather have these figures than not. What I'm saying is that if this was the only way we could have had this wave of figures, by all means, like I didn't pick all of these up, but I did pick up Banshee. I did need him for my X-Men collection. I did not pick up anything else. Did you guys pick up anything from this wave?
Yeah, so I've got. I mean, I think Jordan has my ROM, my Iron Man, and maybe my.
I heard
Dakin.
ROM does his squats.
Yeah,
he is caked up. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things on that ROM though. A lot of people do like that paint. It seems like the first Ultron that they had released the Marvel Legends, where it was like the paint. It looks nice.
Yeah.
And
I've got ROM and Warlock myself.
Warlock,
my two I went with.
I think Warlock, I think I might have to end up picking up just because I do have like my Galactics, my Thanos, my all that figures. So I think I do need to add him. Dakota, I'm sorry, I rudely interrupted you because you said ROM and then I thought of his butt cheeks right away. So what else did you end up picking up?
I got ROM, Dakin, and Iron Man. I think all three might be at Jordan's house.
Cool.
As we're traveling around the country, I have stash houses everywhere. So that was where those got pre-ordered too.
I'm trying to figure out how to tape the boxes shut right now.
Actually, I've heard a lot of good things about that Iron Man. I think the articulation is pretty neat on it. I don't have a connection to it. I think you were mentioning that you like that Iron Heart figure a lot, and it gives me some sort of similar vibes to that figure, and I think that figure articulates pretty well. I know you speak very highly of that figure. But yeah, I ended up only picking up the one from this wave because although I do think these are cool. That the Miles, did you guys see the hips or the legs?
Oh yeah,
like it was just too jarring.
If you haven't looked at Articulatrix's Instagram reviews, that was so funny for Miles.
Okay.
For that one.
I'm gonna have to check it out. All right, so let's I kind of want to hear your guys' input on this. I know this was a very sensitive topic a few months back. All creators were talking about it for a long time. When it was first announced, everybody was losing their freaking minds. $50 for this. It came out, people got it in hand, and they were like, oh, this is nice. Is it $50 nice? I don't know about that, but it's nice. So it was crazy how at first people were very upset. I think the consensus is that everybody agrees it's a good figure. And people say that when it comes to a Todd McFarlane look, people don't see the value in this. So I kind of want to ask you guys, what is, and we can start with either or, what is your personal opinion? Did you guys pick this up? What do you guys feel about the Maximum series line? What's your takes on it?
Yeah, I got one just on principle. I was going back and forth a little bit, but Spidey is really my guy, and I was like, I at least gotta find out, what's this all about. So I do think it is really impressive, the poses you can get into it. I did a lot of side by sides, even with the Renew Your Vows, which I really like that one. But this one can get a lot more poses than that one can, and I think the build is really cool for Spider-Man. I do see where people are coming from with the $50 thing. I think I get it. I think you almost could have notched it up to being that $50 one with some different choices in accessories. I would have loved like a half-mast head. Yes. I think would have been like no-brainer. I think even a different style head, because I didn't really get the two choices of Spidey heads. I thought was kind of a waste. A better Peter Parker head would have been cool. And then, I think like you said earlier, some of the web effects, it's like, really, this is just kind of throwing them in there. So I think with a little bit of tweaking, you could have, and I don't think it'd be like I'm totally content with it being $50, but I think the people who are maybe in that middle ground would be more persuaded. But I do really enjoy it, and I think I'm glad I got it.
Jordan, would you have paid $35 for just the figure and the hands, and that's it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would have happily, done that.
All right,
and
Dakota, go ahead.
Get it, and you can.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
I would say similar. I didn't buy this, but I would say similar to Jordan. Like, I mostly didn't buy it because I want Spider-Man, but almost all those accessories I don't need. So like, I think that's where, like you said, if there was like even stuff that they've had before, like I know Jordan wants like a beat up Spider-Man face, but I wouldn't even mind the like pizza Spidey where it's just like it's like exposing like his chin and mouth, and even having a pizza slice, because I never had the pizza slices with any of my loose pizza Spideys that I got, but I always thought that was a fun accessory. The web shield, nostalgic, I guess, if you had that as a kid, but I never did, so I don't really care too much about it. Those web lines, I like my wired web lines are way better. The sperm effect, no need. The net catchy effect is cool, but if it was wired and I could actually pose my Spider-Man shooting it, it'd be better.
Yeah.
The Peter Parker head was goofy. The two Spider-Man, like I think if his like one eye would have been like really like squinted
very
down,
different. Yeah.
I think then, because right now it's like they're almost the same, so it's like not really necessary. Jordan has said that the Spidey sense effect isn't as good as like the can of beams effect.
Yeah.
So I mean, all that, and the other thing was like I was like they didn't just retool a whole Spider-Man to make this one figure. I'm just gonna wait until it comes out as a standard
for sure
retro card symbiote or something like that, and I'll get it then. The poses look amazing. I do like this look, like the McFarlane Spider-Man. I love that. But all the accessories, I was just like, these are just going to end up in a box never touched, and I spent $50 for a figure. Not worth it to me.
Yeah, it's crazy how people can agree that this ultimately is the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man when it comes to posing and everything. But it's crazy when you get something, when you buy something, and you're not completely satisfied with it. You just buy it because it's like, okay, well, it's Spider-Man, I need to get it. And I got it because I love Spider-Man. I think he's a New Yorker. Hey, forget about it. So I got it. I had to get Spidey. I completely agree. I think the Peter head, it doesn't do anything to me or for me. The other mask, it's not different enough. I think the accessories are mediocre. Honestly, I don't think they're great. The hands, I do think they're I think that's the best thing, of the accessories, and the little effect of like the warning. But yeah, exactly, it's when you buy something and you're like, something is holding you back, when you're like the perceived value isn't there, when you're and you should never feel like that when you buy something. You should be like, I love every aspect of this, and I know that's hard to find, especially with toy collecting, because you can get like that the Jean Grey with the boots. A lot of people are like upset. They're like, "Are you kidding me?" Either some people would pick it up but still be upset because they're like, "This is not the correct," and they tease you because the backdrop, the art has the yellow boots or has the green boots. I forget how it goes. So it's like, come on. But it's very upsetting when you buy something and you're not completely satisfied with it. To me, I know a lot of people were saying that it feels like a Marvel Legends figure, and I think that they were never. I think the team was never trying to. It wasn't going to be different plastic. It was going to be ultimately a Marvel Legends with better articulation. So some people thought it was going to be Mafex quality or SH Figure Arts, but that's not what they were going for. That's not what the company. So I did understand when people were like, "This feels like a Marvel Legends," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is a Marvel Legends. It's supposed to feel like a Marvel Legends." But I understand what they mean by that. Ultimately, is it the best Spider-Man? I haven't opened him before. It seems like, would you say, Jordan, that is the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man? And remember, your favorite can differ from the best, right?
Yeah.
I can say something is my favorite, but just unbiasedly, would you agree that this is the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man?
I think objectively stepping back, getting out of all the discourse around the $50 price tag, I would say yes. I would. But again, I think it's hard to separate that with everything going on and all the conversations around it. But it is pretty impressive once you get it in hand. I will say that.
Dakota, have you played with it? Have you held it?
No, I've never had hands on it, but I think like you're saying, I think objectively, like I'm sure it is the best. And if you didn't have a Spider-Man, like this is the one you should probably go get. Like I just really love my Amazing Friends Spider-Man. Like it's the right size, it's the right colors. So it's like for me, I'm like I already have a Spider-Man that I really love. So it's like, and I love the Amazing Fantasy one too. It's like to me that's the right size of a Spider-Man. So I was like, I have both of those. I do like the look of this one, but I already have a Spider-Man for my collection. I have multiple Spider-Mans for my collection. So it was easier for me to pass on it since I had that already. And same with like a Hulk, like people who don't have a Hulk in their collection and really want a Hulk, the Maximum Hulk is probably going to be super exciting and really fun. It's going to do the job. To me, I liked other Hulks better. Yeah, I just didn't love any of the head sculpts. Like if there would have been one head sculpt that I liked, I would have got it because I don't have a Green Hulk in my collection because I sold mine because we did the leaks and stuff and kind of knew this was coming. So I was like, okay, let me sell this off before it tanks in price. And then seeing this, I'm like, I mean,
Dakota's really mad at that Dakota guy who told him to sell off his Green Hulk.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard that before from you guys where when you hear something's coming out, you're like, sell. If you got a figure that's going for 80, 90, sell it. You get a better version. And then this is probably the only time that I can recall where, in this case, it's like everybody, the head sculpts, like I understand what they're going for. And I actually think that concept is cool. I think that, bringing different variants or artist interpretations of Hulk, I just don't like them. I know that sounds very selfish. I personally don't like any of the three. I think the coolest one is probably the one that he has on. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, and I think that the head sculpts are what most people are upset with. I don't know if, when these come out, when they're released, if, maybe they'll look better in hand, because that's happened before where you see a digital render or something and it comes out better. But yeah, it's another one of those things where if I bought it, and I did pre-order this because I don't have a Marvel Legends Hulk. I have the Marvel Select Hulk, which I think it's awesome. It just doesn't articulate for anything. Because I don't have a Marvel Legends Hulk, this will do. But if I think if you already had that, the 80th year or 20th. And the 20th, I think you're okay. What do you guys think?
I would agree for sure. I think they really needed at least one pretty like traditional Hulk head sculpt. I think you could get a little wacky with the other two, be more creative, but I think they missed by making them all kind of oddly specific. Like I think you need one standard one. So for me, I think, I like the 20th Dakota. I know you like the 80th one. So I think if you had one of those, you're set. I would say was kind of my feel on this one.
And I would say even if you don't have one, because like I said, I sold my 80th because I was expecting this to be something I would want. I don't love any of those heads. And like Jordan said, if one of them had been normal, I probably would have been super psyched to be getting an Ed McGuinness head. Like I think he's my favorite artist for Hulk. The figure form, that it doesn't really look exactly how I want my Hulk figure to look, but I still would have been excited to have that as an alternate head with a normal head to go with it. So I don't know, maybe you could swap on the 80th if it's the same green or something and it'll be okay. But to me, I'm not going to get this one because I know it's a green Hulk. Hasbro's going to make another green Hulk down the road at some point, and I'll get that one. So even if you don't love this one and you don't have a Hulk in your collection, like I said, you probably will have a lot of fun with this, but it's Hulk. Like they're going to make a new Hulk, and then there's leaks for that like retro Hulk carded line type of thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to make a retro card for Hulk and not put Hulk on it. So there'll be more coming. Maybe it won't come with all these accessories, because I do love the motion effect for even for thunderclap, or even more so just for punching. I think that's super cool.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna keep waiting.
What do you guys feel about the gimmick of the rubber overlay piece to hide the butterfly joints? Do you think it's very for you guys personally? Is it very jarring when you see the sculpted lines? Do you prefer, like, what do you prefer?
I don't really care too much about the lines. I think it's a cool idea to try something different. I know a lot of people are worried about how it's going to hold up. I think it'll probably be fine. I would assume it'll deteriorate long after we're all dead. So I don't think it'll be an issue for us, maybe our great grandkids, but I'm interested to see how it goes. And if it goes well, if they use that on other things in the future.
Yeah, I think it's hard to know almost without seeing it in hand yourself, right? Because you can see the promo pictures, you can see them looking at it, but it's like, how much does that interplay? I don't really, yeah, I've never had that feeling so much with my Hulks. Like, man, I really wish those those joints were covered up on the shoulders. But again, maybe it's different, you know, with the idea of it doing the thunderclap thing. I do think that's a fun idea. But for me, it wasn't quite enough to justify the maximum treatment or what that line is.
Do you guys, when Dwight was showing it off, I do think it's ratcheted when he was moving the arms, and I think for longevity that actually works well. Ratchets in the joints. Do you guys see perceived value in this at $60 personally? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think for $60, I think it's a fair price. Because even people in our comments were like, "Oh yes, I never thought I'd get this specific artist's head, and now I do." And I was like, I'm sure, like, if that's like your specific artist's head, like $60 is probably a no-brainer. You love this, but yeah, and if this had a head I'd loved, I would have ordered this first day. So yeah, I think $60 is, I think it's fair for a Hulk, because I kind of always imagine like a Build-A-Figures like a $50 price, and then, you know, you add in the accessories, and $60 there.
Well, on most of the other Hulks, I mean, that even the 20th Hulk is at least like 80 if you're looking for him secondhand right now. So, you know, it's $20 less than,
how much did he retail for?
I think he was like 44, wasn't he?
Yeah, right? In the 40s.
Yeah, interesting. Now, do you guys think if the tactic, and I do believe that introducing Spider-Man as your first Maximum series hero was the way to go? Do you think if, let's say, the Hulk was first introduced all new, completely new, I know there's a lot of reuse in this Hulk, for, let's say, I don't know, 75 or 80, because I did hear that a lot of people, if this was completely new, with better head sculpts and more accessories, people would not have an issue paying more for a completely new figure. Do you think if the Spider-Man was introduced after the Hulk at the $50 price, there would have been less of a, you know, people were upset at the price? Do you think it would have changed in any way? Is that like psychology of like, okay, well, this is 60 or 70, now Spidey's 50, okay, makes sense, you know? Like, I'm sure there's a marketing tactic on that.
Yeah, and I was hearing Ryan talk about like why they wanted to lead with their best foot forward. So like Spider-Man is going to be like what they think is the best of the Maximum figures that they have. I think there's only one more planned for this year.
Correct. Yeah.
So he's going to be the best, and like Hulk and whoever the next one is are, you know, still going to be good, but not as good. And I know he was, I can't remember, I think it was Unparalleled Universe. Is that the one with the Odious figure? He was talking to him about it, and they were kind of back and forth on like whether they should have done this or that or all new or whatever. And I think a lot of that is just kind of hindsights, and collectors are gonna complain about anything, because like I think with Hulk it's like they're like, oh, but the legs are reused. It's like, well, what did you really want for the legs to be different? Like, I think they're fine Hulk legs. You want the pants ripped in different ways. It's just a toe joint. It's got toe joints. So
mainly upset at the fact that I think the team sold the Maximum series as the absolute best version of anything. And I think Dwight, during that interview, if I'm not mistaken, I think he mentioned like, oh no, like we never said it was going to be the best or something like in those,
I think
don't quote me, but something around there. And Unparalleled was very upset because he's like, whoa, you guys said this was the best version of whatever character, you know? So I think the community was like kind of like, so is it the best? Is it not the best?
Right.
Is it reuse? You know?
Well, I think they were back and forth a lot on the brand new. Like Unparalleled was like, you said it was going to be all new figures, like all new sculpting and everything. And Ryan was like that it was going to be the best, not all new. So that was kind of what they were back and forth on. And even
that kind of makes, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not lying.
Right. Exactly. And I think the asterisk that Ryan was kind of like pointing out was it's the best we can do right now
with what we have,
because it's like they have to consider the year's budget of like, you know, it's not just like what's our budget on Hulk. It's like the entire year they have however much money it is. They put so much in each package. Sometimes you get those Rogue and Destiny 2-packs that come with nothing, which I think is you should probably avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
But then you get your Doctor Strange and Wong 2-packs that come totally packed in with tons of stuff. So I think that's kind of where, like, you know, they probably blew their budget a little more on Spider-Man because they were like, you know, Hulk doesn't need all new legs or whatever. He's going to have the thunderclap. And that's the thing that's people really want. Is people aren't like, oh, I wish my Hulk had thighs this way. They say, I want my Hulk to thunderclap. So they're like, boom, Hulk and thunderclap. This is your best Hulk. And they said, well, but he's not all new, and complain that way. So it's, and I totally get it. Like if you were wanting an all new Hulk and it's not all new, then feel free to complain, and I'm sure they will. But I think it is the best Hulk that they could do, minus the heads.
Yeah. I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little skeptical if people are saying, you know, even if it had been all new and it was $70 or $80, I'd be cool with it, because I think a lot of people would have been like $80 for a Marvel Legends Hulk. Get out of town, you know.
Yeah,
I think you can say that now.
The same price as Dragon Man,
right?
Man, yeah.
So I almost feel like that would have been worse for them personally if you let in with a Hulk that, because we said before, like a Spider-Man, you know, thinking about how much Hulk's going to be, and if that was the first experience with it, I think people would have had, I would say, stronger reactions that were negative. Would be my feeling on it, because I think 60 makes sense. Like Dakota said, it's kind of like build a figure. It's hopefully pretty substantial, and you feel like there's the value there. But I think going above that 60 price, even if you had the new things, I don't know. I don't think that would have gone over well.
No, we would have started riots in the streets if it was the same price as Dragon Man, because Dragon Man is made to order and he's got the wings. That's all new. And like, you're going to say, collectors that would say that they would pay that much for a Hulk is just, you're crazy. And you're lying.
Yeah. I think they're just you're just saying it to say. No, I agree. I see what you guys are saying, and I agree with Ryan. It's the best with what we have, kind of thing. And the misconception, I think we did it on ourselves, and as a toy community, is thinking that everything was going to be brand new. I don't know if those words were ever said, but is brand new ever the better? You know, I'm sure there's been instances where they make a figure that is totally brand new. Look at
Miles.
Like MCU. Look at Miles, completely new. What's up, Doug? Thank you for stopping by. You can get a figure that's completely new, and it doesn't mean it's a good figure at all. And then you can have good reuse of something where it's like, okay, they knocked it out. You know, I think the Renew Your Vows was used for the Daredevil, the Venom.
Yeah, that too.
And it's like, okay, so at what point is reuse or completely new sculpt like better? A lot of the MCU figures, completely new sculpt. And I know with Black Series, that's like a big thing, is why is the budget go to new media? Why is Andor, or why is Skeleton Crew, or why is this getting all new sculpt, all new paint, all new figures, and then we get Anakin with reused legs? And you could say the same thing with MCU figures, like this new wave of Thunderbolts that came out, good paint apps, good photo reel, and then we get things like Miles Morales, where you're like, they skimped out. What's going on? One thing that I will say I do really enjoy is the Spider-Man line. I know this came out earlier today, and Dakota, you mentioned that you showed that you got Chameleon. I picked up Chameleon. I picked up the Agent Venom. That's like a rule of cool for me. And those were the only two I picked up. I thought Electro was pretty cool, but Electro, to me, it's not the animated series version or the comic one where I kind of like. Did you guys end up picking any other ones of this wave?
Go ahead, Jordan. I don't even remember what you got.
The only one that I was tempted when we heard about a Spider-Man Unlimited, Alex. I didn't love the. I wish this is one that we could have gotten some cell shading on. I'll say I've seen some customs of them that made it look really cool with like the darker accents on it. And then I think I'd had Chameleon ordered. I saw the phenomenon where people said his belt was snapping in half, so I wanted to wait to
there was a lot of QC issues with that.
Let me know if his belt explodes, and then maybe I'll pull the trigger on that. But I did think Kane looked cool as well, and I do like that build and that sculpt.
He's a clone, isn't he? I haven't read that storyline, but
yeah, he's one of the clones from the insanity of the Clone Saga, but he was kind of like the messed up clone that, you can tell he doesn't look like he's doing too well if he's wearing that outfit every day.
And that's a pretty bulky fig, right? I think it's pretty big. And for I like, it's weird when Marvel Legends or Black Series, they hit you with a $25 on a pretty good size figure, like they did it with the Super Battle Droid. They had it $25, and this Kane it's a pretty. I think it uses the buck. Does it use the Venom or what does it use?
It looks like
he's smaller than Venom. He's
smaller.
I got him inside at work, but yeah, he's like probably about the same size as Chameleon.
Did Venom? No, I think he's a little bigger. Is he? Is he not? He might be. I thought he for whatever reason I thought he was bigger. The Venom though, the Walmart exclusive one, that was $25 too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Yeah. So it's crazy how sometimes you get that more bang for your buck for a bigger figure, and then some other things you don't. But yeah, I only picked up those two. Like I said, my collection's changing, and I do love the Spider-Man, the retro, the animated series backdrop on the card backs. Do you guys don't collect any of these in card like Dan Hu, right? You open all these?
No, yeah. I used to keep some of them sealed, like when I had a wall to display on, because then I would kind of like how I spread out my stuff. If I wasn't sure I wanted to keep it, like I knew the retro Electro and Mysterio were kind of like creeping up in price, so I just displayed them in box, and then after a while I sold them off, and then like replace it with something else, put something else on the wall, and then open them up eventually. But yeah, no, I opened pretty much all of them from that wave. I got Chameleon, and obviously I got Kane, Agent Venom, and Spider-Man Unlimited.
Nice. That's a good. Why is it that they don't do Build-A-Figures with the animated series? Is that like a thing?
I think it's probably. My guess is to save money, because you're gonna like the retro cards are gonna sell because it's a retro card. Like it's kind of its own Build-A-Figure. Like because you've got people like Dan Hu or Collect to Disconnect that buys one to open and one to put on the wall, and you don't need to even have a Build-A-Figure in there to drive the sale of the other ones, because it's a retro card and people want the retro card. So
that makes sense.
Think that's my guess, because I don't think, I think they've said like it costs more to do a retro card. I don't believe that. I don't think it does, but maybe it does. I don't know. I think it's just to save a buck.
Yeah, and Doug brings up a good point. We did talk about this earlier. That the price increases and the tariffs and all that, but I think ultimately prices on action figures are I think they're going to stay in the $25 range for your generic Hasbro. I think all of that was probably to just make some noise internationally. I think everything's going to go back to normal. Let's hope. Not to say that prices, it doesn't mean they have to increase. I think Black Series were $22.99 last year or 2 years ago. Now they're $24.99. I think Marvel Legends started at $19.99, and I think they've crept up periodically. So it doesn't mean that they're not going to increase. So, but I think the tariff situation is going to change. Speaking of the tariff situation, and speaking of made-to-order items, did you guys pick up? I'm very excited for this. I got to be completely honest. We were talking about how I like big figs. I like the made-to-order concept. What's your guys' view on first made-to-order? Dragon Man was made to order. I think that was the first one. Then
Mhm.
Sentinels. I think they're slowing down on the whole HasLab situation. What is your take on that? And then, did you guys pre-order any of the made to order items?
I like the made to order like model. Like I'm used to it with having Mythic Legions because I can order those ahead of time before they get to retail, and I really like that. The Marvel Legends stuff, I've gotten the Galactus HasLab, and that was cool. And I think as a content creator, I prefer HasLabs because there's all that buzz about like, here's the
it's
thing,
good for
and then
content,
like we've got so many days, and what's the unlocks, and like it's just you just got so much content just in one figure. But I think as a collector, I like these better because this is what it is. They're not going to add on to it. They're not going to take away from it. If I want it, I order it. I don't have to stress whether the rest of the community wants it or not. It only matters whether I do, and I pre-order whatever I want. So,
and there's no such thing as scalping when it comes to made to order items, right?
Exactly. You cannot scalp this. If somebody wants to sell their thing after this for $1,000, that's on them. It's if you wanted it, you should have bought it earlier.
I will say, and I'm going to bring it up real quick. I will say that these are actually going for a pretty penny already. The pre-orders that the Sentinels that the made to order, I already seen them on here, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. On eBay for upwards of $330, $340, $350.
All right.
I might have to keep my pre-order, and I was just debating like yesterday. I was like, dang, I pre-ordered 3 of them because I was like, maybe Future Dakota is going to have a nice remote job and he can afford 3 of them. And I was like, yeah, I might have to just, I might drop all 3, but if they're, it's going to be a good investment. Maybe it's worth holding it on.
Yeah, it's I don't know why the other page doesn't come up, but yeah, so it seems like people are starting to sell their pre-orders online. I think they retail for $175 each. What do you guys think about the price? Did you guys end up getting Jordan, are you picking this up?
Yeah, Dakota went in on the 3 for us. He contributed to the program in that sense. And then I got the maximum Spider-Man, so it all evens out.
Yeah, there you go.
Contributing to the cause. No, I like the made to order idea. I think it's really cool. I think it will let them, hopefully, as you continue, get more of those things. They're not quite HasLab worthy, but you can't really do them justice in a regular release. So I do have Dragon Man pre-ordered, and I'm excited for that. And hopefully it means, we'll be getting more figures in that vein. Then I think they could do some more unique stuff than they can do with a traditional HasLab.
Yeah, I picked up 3 of these. I think one, especially since I had always planned of getting that. I wanted to get that master mold. That's going to be my main display, and I think you need it just 1 or 3. You can't have 2. They have to do the whole flank, the triangle, and I'll probably open 1. Keep 1 for a rainy day, or maybe open 2, see how I'm going to do it. But yeah, I think these are 16 inches, 18 inches. I think it's a good size. I love the art. I think it kind of looks like, gives me Jim Lee vibes when in the comics. So I'm excited for these. The Dragon Man, I did not pick up. I don't have that connection, even though I do like the Fantastic Four. I think that's where it comes from, right? Dragon Man, Fantastic Four. I didn't have that big of an attachment to it. Did you guys see that Walmart kind of released the wave of Fantastic Four Marvel Legends? Did you see that without the images being shown? Did you guys happen to see that by any chance?
No, I didn't see that.
No. Walmart had them up, and I don't know if they took him down. $24.99, and I think, let me see if I can pull it up. And it seems it's going to be a wave of 6. And they had them numbered. Fantastic Four. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick.
Are you pull that up, Alex? It is regrettably getting close to my bedtime, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I apologize dearly, but if you guys, I absolutely keep on chatting away. Don't let me stop
No,
you.
no worries. I'm gonna
But I've had a lot of fun talking, man.
In a few. Jordan, I really appreciate you being here. If you don't mind, real quick, can you just run through your favorite Marvel Legends? So I asked these guys to comprise a list of their favorite Marvel Legends of the year or in general. If you don't mind, just
my
through those really
faves.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I done a rundown, and I've got the VHS Cyclops is a big favorite of mine. Always is on the list when we do these. I love Kang, the Joe Fixit Kang. It's very simple, but I think an awesome villain. I really like the Scarlet Spider they did. I think that one is one of my favorite looks for Spider-Man, and just knocked it out of the park. The Retro Venom, I think that's another all-time too. I love the cell shading on that. I think that's the best use of the cell shading. And what do I got there? Is that 4? This year, I think I kind of got to give it. So when I was doing all-timers, it's tough because there's the recency of loving the I do like the Maximum Spider-Man this year. I think is probably one of the cool, just for the innovation of it. I think is one of my favorites to come out this year so far. But Rom is also very cool too. And looking forward, I think I'm excited for Dragon Man this year, and the Daredevil. Those are two that. And I actually have if I can put this on my list, the Doctor Doom helmet pre-ordered.
Oh, so that looks really cool.
That is, yeah. So I'm getting that in July. So you'll be seeing that cool. Definitely on the channel at some point. I'm going to have a Doctor Doom head. So that's actually pretty high on my anticipation, which I haven't ever gotten any of those role play stuff from them.
The Green Goblin one looks pretty cool too.
Yeah.
But that Doom one was awesome.
For Doom.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much. I know you have a heart out, and Dakota, I won't take too much more of your time. Jordan, thank you so much. You're always welcome to the channel. Thanks again for stopping by.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Bye. So Dakota, real quick, we're going to go into that. And so, yeah, I asked you if you can comprise a list of your favorite Marvel Legends of either in general or of this year. What are some of your favorite Marvel Legends?
Yeah, since I didn't get too many this year, and Jordan has like half of the figures I ordered this year, I think I'm going to say my favorite that I've gotten so far, I think has got to be the Spider-Man Unlimited, which is kind of surprising because I was really excited about the idea of getting that one. That was probably my #1 most wanted Spider-Man suit. And then when they put it out, I was like, oh man, kind of like Jordan was saying, it's like I've seen customs that look better. And then I opened them up last weekend and I was like, actually, this is a little bit better than I was thinking it was going to be. I still think it could be better, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I'm excited to get my hands on my ROM, Dakin, and Iron Man, though. I think Iron Man could maybe take that top spot once I get him in hand. But as far as like all time goes, I'm going to say my #5 is going to be Iron Fist from the Luke Cage and Iron Fist 2-pack. I think
I have that on pre. I have that in my big bad pile of loot. It's that good?
I think it's perfect for an Iron Fist. I don't think they could really do much better. I do like the old one, how it has like you can port on kind of the translucent fists. I think that's a cool touch. Like that's maybe what it's missing.
And the V cut. A lot of people were saying about the V cut for the but that's not a big deal for me.
I honestly don't. I haven't read enough Iron Fist comics to care that much. I just had the Toy Biz one as a kid, and I loved that one. I hadn't read anything other than the Toy Biz comic that it came with. Well. And yeah, it articulates perfectly. I think it's a great reuse of the Renew Your Vows body. I love the greens and yellows. Like looks cool on a shelf.
It pops.
That's a good figure, I think. #4, I'm gonna say the 20th Iron Man. A little bit older.
People love that one. You were talking about that. You like that one a lot too, huh?
I'm pretty sure you go find it on Big Bad Toy Store for like, I want to say like $10 or something. Like it's usually on sale like pretty hard. So
that's the one with the like the horns, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was
is that pinless? No, right?
No, the new.
Are you're not like a pinless snob, like it needs to be pinless kind of thing, or what
I
does
mean,
it
that's
do?
kind of why I want to get my hands on the Secret Wars Iron Man to see if it really is that much better. Because I'm like, this one is just, yes, it has pins, but it's not like Spider-Man, where like Spider-Man will have like a pin in his arm and it's red on one side and
Blue,
red through the
other.
blue, and it's like a polka dot. It's like that.
Yeah,
That I understand why you would want pinless. With Iron Man, it's red all the way through to the other red side, so
makes sense. Yeah,
it's there, but the figure itself is so cool. And that was one that I was like, I think if you go back and watch, like whenever we talked about the reveals that they were showing it, I was like, oh yeah, that's a big pass for me. I was wrong. That's amazing. I love it.
I might pick that up.
Yeah, I want to see it side by side with the new one and see if the pinless is really that much better, or because I love the colors on the 20th. I love the head. I don't know. I maybe my opinion will change, but it's just going to be hard to knock that one off, and especially for the price it's going for right now, like that's a steal. So number three, I'm going to put Red Hulk on the list. The original Red Hulk, the comic version.
Those were like secretly popping up at Targets recently, right before the movie.
Yeah,
and I never found it. I ended up getting the Marvel Select one, but that looks like a really good one. That goes for a hefty price on the aftermarket, right? And
I haven't looked it up. I mean, mostly because like I just probably will never sell mine. But that's like a lot of like nostalgia and like favorite character kind of wrapped into it. Like objectively, maybe it's not the greatest Marvel Legend ever made. I still think it's really good. But like that Red Hulk series was kind of one of the first comics that I was picking up, like single issues as it was coming out. Like I remember reading that first comic and being like, oh, who is Red Hulk? And kind of that mystery of it for a while. So that was really cool. And then number 2 now, I got to give it to the Deluxe War Machine.
Oof, that's a good one too. I don't have that, and it
comes with a lot. The retro one is cool. It just doesn't come with as much stuff, so that's why I was
gonna pick that up. What do you think about the retro one? It's going for like $28 on Amazon. It's sold out on Big Bad and all that. Do you think it's a good enough? Because I do like that look, but the deluxe one look, man, the roadie head, everything looks so nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the deluxe one is going for right now. I would say, would that, like, if I'm trying to compare like Maximum Spider-Man $50, if War Machine, like I said, I don't know if what he's going for, but if he's going for $50, that might be worth it. Also, that's just a good comparison. Like, how much was War Machine when he came out, and Spider-Man doesn't come with that much more. So
yeah, that's a good, yeah, absolutely. I want a War Machine. I don't think none of the leaks talk about a War Machine. I don't think that there's any news of a War Machine coming out anytime soon. And it's almost like, okay, well, why don't you, instead of getting the retro one, just put the $28 towards, see if you could pick up the deluxe one.
Right.
So we'll see, because that's one of those ones that are on my list, similar to the Blob. I missed out on the Blob. I think initially it's crazy when it first came out. I think it was $55 or $60. I'm like, I didn't see any value in that Blob.
Right. Same.
And then everybody fucking fell in love with it. Everybody was like, this is a phenomenal figure, and people were holding it, and it articulates well, and it looks so good. And then the prices started going up. Right now on Big Bad, you could get it for $80. I hate paying over retail for anything. But in your last video, in one of your videos, you mentioned that you guys don't think that Blob will be coming out anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, people in the comments were saying like they didn't make that mold for just one figure, which, you know, that's the same thing I just said about that Spider-Man. So maybe they'll make a Blob again. It's definitely possible. It's
a good one though, right? Do you have that?
It is good. I do. I ended up trading. I don't remember what I traded to get it. But yeah, I saw the price because I was like, I'm not paying that much. I'll just wait for a sale. And then sales never came. And I was like, okay, shoot, I guess I gotta get that now before it keeps going up. And then maybe I traded a Mythic Legion or something,
smart,
maybe something new or whatever. And yeah, I was able to get him. But yeah, it is a good Blob. And I do feel like they could maybe do better, because I think it looks a little like young for a Blob. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good figure. I do like it.
Okay, sounds good.
So,
your number two is your number two the
number 2 was War Machine. Yep.
War Machine? Okay,
and
like number one.
I don't know. I don't know how much it goes for. If he goes for something reasonable, I think he's worth paying more than the $28 for, just because he's got the missiles, the smoke effects, the turrets are all got their effects. It's a good figure.
I know. At what point is too much for you? Is double the price where you're fully out of anything? Let's say if you're buying something that already released, where do you draw the line? How much more are you willing to pay?
It's kind of hard with Jordan and I, because we usually don't overpay. Like if it's over retail, we usually just don't buy it, because with the amount of lots and stuff we buy, like eventually those things are going to find their way into our collection at a cheaper way. Like, so like I'll buy that lot and then I probably could get that War Machine for $15, like dividing it out in that lot. So it's like, then I'm like, I don't want to pay that much more for just a single figure. I'd rather pay $400 and get, a giant box of figures that then I can sell. And then I'm going to end up with $800 and those figures out of the box that I wanted. So that's kind of our like thought process for it. But yeah, with that War Machine, I would probably spend $50 on him, I think, if I didn't have him right now. So any more than that, that's probably too much.
Now, and I would make the argument that War Machine comes with way better accessories than this does. So
yeah, because
maybe I'll trade you
rocket boots.
I'll trade you this maximum for your War Machine.
Dude, I'm like, I don't even. That Spider-Man doesn't come with enough for me. So yeah, I think that is a good point, that the War Machines, because you've even got the little missiles that you can port onto the smoke effects. It's
a cool toy.
That was good accessories. Definitely. I'm glad I put him at number 2. He deserves that spot. Number 1, though, I've said this for a while now, I think the best Marvel Legend out there right now is the Retro Beast. I don't have him in my collection because he's too expensive. I sold
don't have him in my collection either, dude. And
I had him, and he was amazing. And I was like, I don't really have any expensive figures in my collection, because like if a figure goes for $100, it's out the door, because I can go buy 4 more figures for that same one figure. So
but in this case, it was potentially one of the best Marvel Legends ever made, with the one with the lab cloak, right?
Yep. I knew when I was selling them, I was like, I know that I'm selling the best Marvel Legend right now,
but it was just let him go
because like I said, I know that either they're going to make another one and I'll pick him up that way. I think with him, there is a higher chance that they redo, like they just put out a straight up re-release of that. Because I don't know what was going on with the distribution for him, where it just seemed like
I had him
pre-orders,
and it never came out.
They never came through. Like a lot of those fell flat, and I think for that reason, I think I could see Hasbro doing a re-release, kind of like they did with Green Goblin, like they did with the Red Hulk. So that's where I was kind of like, there's a chance there. There's also a chance I find him in a lot down the road too, and I can just get him that way, kind of like I said. So
it's one of those things, and I saw that Beast. Somebody was selling it it was like a swap meet kind of thing, where they were selling, and they had it for $35, and I was like, I pre-ordered on Big Bad. I'll just wait. Never got it, and it's one of those things that I'm like, man, that thing goes for a lot too. I think it goes for like upwards to like 120, 130.
Right.
But they have to make one, especially the X-Men 97. I think Jubilee and Beast are now. Are they? Is it going to look like, to me, the X-Men 97? They're really cool. Like the Wolverine, the Magneto, they fit with my comic display. But I will say that. So I could even say the Nightcrawler, but Bishop, Jean Grey, even that Cyclops that a lot of people like, they almost look too animated, where they stand out with your comic version. So in the case that Beast is like that, where Beast looks too animated, I'm still probably going to pick it up. But that Beast was perfect. I think that Retro Beast was amazing. Awesome list. I would say, Iron Fist, War Machine, Beast. I don't have. Who was your number 5?
Red Hulk was on there.
Don't have
20th Iron Man.
So I don't have any of your top 5. Great. That's awesome. I don't have any of those. And not because I don't like those figures. Remember, I think most of your selection were older figures that came out a while back, and I didn't have, you know, War Machine. I didn't pick up at that time. I'm gonna run through my list. I did do a top. I have more than, so I'm gonna do a couple in no particular order. I would definitely put Black Widow in my on my top list. I think Marvel Legends was doing something really good when it came to Black Widow with the accessories. I know she was a little bit more expensive at $27.99, but I think with the articulation, everything she came with, it was worth it. I love this Doctor Strange. I think he's really, really good. I think you could get him now maybe under retail or at retail. He's really, really cool. He comes with a lot of stuff. I think you guys talked about him in your last video.
Yeah, I think he's the best Doctor Strange you can get.
Yeah, She-Hulk, I thought she was great. I love the paint on the hair. I love the size on her. I did pre-order that her with the Fantastic Four uniform. I love this Hawkeye with the Sky Cycle.
Yeah,
I think he's a great figure, a great representation of Hawkeye. And then my favorites, Toad. I know that you mentioned that Toad was actually one of those very important figures in the Toy Biz. I think it came out in the first wave. I think this is an awesome underrated fig.
Oh yeah, that's another one you can get super cheap on
$14 right now. I think on Amazon. I really like this Sabretooth. I think he's awesome. I know he has pins. I don't care. Like you said, he is an awesome. That 2-pack I think sold out. It sold pretty well with the Wolverine. The Wolverine I'm not crazy about, but this
I had that Sabretooth on my list as number 7.
Really?
Yep.
No way. Cable. I love this Cable. I think it's not super accurate to the game. He would have to be sleeveless, I believe, or short sleeve.
Still looks awesome.
I still think, he looks really, really good. So I love Cable. And then my top 2 will be, I absolutely love these figs. I love Rhino. I think he poses super, super well. I love my big figs. And this to me is like a masterpiece in engineering and toy engineering. And Pinless, I think she looks absolutely phenomenal. It's just a feat in engineering. I absolutely love this. And some of the new figs that came out this year, before I finish, because I'm going to wrap it up right now. I haven't opened up, but the War Journal Punisher, I've heard nothing but great things about this. I'm actually very excited to pose him up, and believe it or not, the Captain America. I do love this baby blue. I do have that 20th anniversary one. It looks really, really cool. I have that one sealed. I don't think I'm going to open that anytime soon. But
yeah, that one looks good sealed too.
But yeah, Marvel Legends, they scratch that childhood heroes itch that I have. It's great. I wouldn't consider myself a complete shill, because I like the line. There's things that they could do better, but overall, I'm happy it exists. I'm happy that the contract negotiations, I'm happy that they extended with both Star Wars and Marvel, Disney and Hasbro. Dakota, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate talking. You're always welcome to the show. Guys, feel free, follow the Strong Collectors on YouTube. Great channel. On Instagram as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hopefully see you in the future. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.